Now we come to decelerations. All right. So before we go to decelerations, I would like to tell you and show you this chart. So the first one is, you can see the accelerations. Okay. And now there's no doubt about it. And everybody loves to see accelerations. But once you start seeing these dips, can you see these are contractions? Okay. The last line, E line, is the contractions. Guys, can you see my cursor? Okay. So here you have the contractions, and right above it, a mirror image of the contraction, the early deceleration, and they come with every contraction. Okay. Mostly. Can you see this? A mirror image. It's not coming after the contraction is over. It's coming right at the time, the peak time of contraction, right? Directly below it, directly below it. So these are early decelerations, right? Then I'll also talk about late decelerations. Late deceleration, the contraction is ended and now the late deceleration has come up. The contraction is ended and the late deceleration has come up. Again, the contraction is ending, and right from the time it's ending, this deceleration starts, and see it's coming back to the baseline. This is why the baseline is called the baseline, right? Then, so this and this, early and late decelerations, how often do you find them? Mostly you see this category of decelerations, the variable decelerations. There's no set pattern. See, this contraction has come without any deceleration. Okay, so you don't know what's going on. Okay, one more question I'd like to ask you guys. What is the funda? Why do you have early deceleration? Why do you have late deceleration? And why do you have variable deceleration? Can anyone tell me? What are the causes? Can anybody tell me the cause for early deceleration? Why does it happen? And why don't we take it very seriously? Early deceleration, even late deceleration. Yes, great. That you know that means, right? So early deceleration, head compression. Very good. What about late decelerations? Why do they come? What is the reason for late decelerations? That also you must be knowing. Of course. Good. Come on, guys. There are so many of you and there in the class. Come on, keep answering. Yes, it's basically the placental causes. Okay, it could be anything, placental causes, right? And what about your variable decelerations? This is important because this is kind of serious, right? Even later on, we'll be talking about the decelerations. We'll be talking about the cord compression. Yes, variable decelerations are mostly because of cord compression. So this has to be taken into seriously. And we're not really bothered so much with early, and even with late, we're a little, cautious, but not with early that much. Yes, so this is cord compression. Excellent, guys. Very good. So these were different kinds of decelerations which I wanted to talk about. Now, there are certain concerning characteristics in these decelerations. So whenever the decelerations come, you have to look for a particular set of variables in the deceleration, whether these are having any concerning characteristics, and concerning characteristics are any deceleration lasting for 60 seconds or more. So that means, suppose this is a deceleration. Okay, if you take the entire length of its happening 60 seconds, you understand, 1 minute, right? On the CTG paper, I have a CTG paper also over here. See, this is CTG paper. That means this entire duration, this 1 minute, the entire time this deceleration was there. Usually it doesn't happen that way. Okay, so deceleration comes like a very narrow zone and goes back mostly. But if deceleration has come for more than 60 seconds, okay, lasting for more than 60 seconds, it's a concerning characteristic. Every time the decelerations are coming, there is a baseline, there's a beat to beat variability has reduced. So reduced beat to beat variability with every deceleration. Or the other concerning characteristic is failure to return back to the baseline. That's another very important feature, that it's not returned back to the baseline, or there is a slow return to the baseline. This is also very, very categorical. At the same time, loss of previously presenting shouldering. Does anybody know what shouldering is, guys? Can anybody tell me what is shouldering? Yeah. Anybody knows what is shouldering? Oh, I have some answers. Okay, I'll tell you what shouldering is. Shouldering means that every time there is a dip, that means here, the fetus tries to compensate it. To a certain extent, shouldering can be seen here. That means it's going above, back, and then back to the baseline. Are you getting me? That means every time there's a deceleration like this, it goes, rather than going back to the baseline, it goes, shoots above, and then comes back. So earlier on there was shouldering, now there is loss of shouldering. So these, decelerations suddenly become more concerning to us. Just imagine that you were having previously, the decelerations were there. Let's say that they were early decelerations. All right. So you were still monitoring the patient again. The same early decelerations started become prolonged decelerations. They are still early decelerations, but they've become more prolonged. Okay, number one. They've become more prolonged, and then there is suddenly the beat to beat variability, which was there before, suddenly has got lost. Okay, now, and these are the decelerations which are now we can see. The third quality that you see is that they're coming, but they're not reaching back to the baseline. They're somewhere in between. The baseline is kind of now shifting lower than it was before. Or the fourth category, that when the early deceleration that used to come before, they used to come like this, and they used to overshoot the baseline and then come back to the baseline most of the time, as a compensatory mechanism of the fetus to get more oxygen or increase its vitality, its activity. But now in these CTG, now the decelerations that are coming, they're not having the shouldering effect any further. That's shouldering when you cross the baseline, go above, and then come back to the baseline. It's not exactly an acceleration. It's just a compensatory mechanism. So shouldering was there before. Now there is no shouldering. So this becomes a concerning characteristic of the decelerations. With this background in mind, now we go to this slide. Okay, it's a confusing slide. I wanted you to have a base before I discuss this slide with you. And I'll not be discussing it this complicated with you. I have another slide coming in the next page, which is going to be far more easier to make your picture memory, which is the idea behind taking this class. So let's show this slide and go to my slide, which I've made for you. Okay. So anyways, the decelerations, let me just define you over here. They're transient episodes. The fetal heart slows down. And this slows down below the baseline. And how below the baseline? 15 beats per minute, with each lasting for 15 seconds. I just told you that 15 beats. Remember just two things: 15 beats, 15 seconds. Okay. So it goes below by 15 beats, and it at least by 15 beats for at least 15 seconds or more. Okay, such a dip will not be counted. All these dips, they're not counted. It has to go down and has to come back, and this should take at least 15 seconds, not just, see, beat to beat variability can also be like that. It was, 130, 136, 136, 136, it goes to 120 and comes back to again 128, 126, 136 and all. So how long has it gone down? If it's gone for 2 seconds or even 10 seconds, it's not counted. 15 seconds or more, that's taken seriously. So like I tell you over here, let me just show you again through this chart of mine. So this, every small circle that you can see, very, very small circle that you, the box that you can see, the small box, not the red lines, the very small box, that's 10 seconds. So another, if it doesn't even go to the next box. So it's coming like this and going back. So that's not taken as a deceleration. It has to be more than 15 seconds. So let's jump on my slide. So decelerations are regarded as white. Okay. First of all, if there are no decelerations, see, no decelerations are early variable decelerations with no concerning characteristics. So early decelerations, ED. First, let me just tell you what do these mean. ED means early decelerations, VD means variable decelerations, and CC means concerning characteristics. Okay. This is a rule of 30. 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, and 3 minutes. I'll tell you what it means. What 3 minutes is, you'll understand it yourself. So basically, it's a rule of 30, right? So white is either you have no decelerations, white. Either you have early decelerations, but with no concerning characteristics. I just explained you the concerning characteristics. And I took the example of early decelerations only. So early decelerations with concerning characteristics, they go in amber. Okay. But early decelerations with no concerning characteristics still remain white, and you still continue to monitor this patient. Variable decelerations. See, decelerations also come in amber, also come in white when When they are having no concerning characteristics, when they're going back to the baseline, when they are not lasting for more than 60 seconds, when they are the beat to beat variability is good, and when they have shouldering effect, or at least they never had shouldering effect to start with. See, loss of shouldering effect is very important. But if they never had shouldering effect, then it's okay, no problem. That's not a concerning characteristic. Are you getting me? Make that funda clear. If it never had any shouldering effect, there is no loss of shouldering effect. The idea or the statement was very characteristic. It was saying loss of previously present shouldering. If it was never there, it's not concerning, right? Now, so all this comes under white. So early decelerations with no concerning characteristics and variable decelerations with no concern. That means just imagine for Indian scenario, for us, it's a very difficult situation to carry on. Continuously there she's having variable deceleration, and they are just that they're not having any concerning characteristics. We are still sitting. Now, amber. What exactly is amber? So now you see that these variable decelerations are now showing concerning characteristics, but you're still waiting for 30 minutes. Okay, once it goes to above 30 minutes, see over here, these were shown. So how long will you sit for here? So these are variable decelerations which had no concerning characteristics. Now these are variable decelerations with concerning characteristics and are going above 30 minutes. So it goes into amber category. Now you have started panicking, kind of. Okay. So till 30 minutes, you were still sitting over it. Even with concerning characteristics, you were still sitting over it. Right? Now, that means you never informed your specialist, to be very honest, right? So that's the idea about this white, amber, red. Where are we going with these white, amber, red? This is what I'm going to tell you in the slides to come. So variable decelerations with concerning characteristics, now they started happening, and you're waiting for 30 minutes mark to announce to your superior. Now, this RVD is repeated variable decelerations. Now, there is a difference between variable decelerations and repeated variable decelerations. Now, can anybody tell me, this is going to be really fun, what is the difference between variable decelerations and repeated variable decelerations? Because when I was telling you this line, that variable decelerations along with concerning characteristics, you wait for 30 minutes. Don't you think it was very, very striking? I mean, I wouldn't be as a student, accepting this line at all. Answer is in the next question. So what do you mean by repeated variable decelerations and variable decelerations? What is the difference? Can anyone tell me? I'll try to explain to you by this slide only. This is the best slide. This over here, the variable decelerations, as you can see, these are just variable decelerations. Why? You see that there are 3 contractions over here. But with these 3 contractions, I'm seeing only 1 deceleration. That is a variable deceleration. There are no repeat variable decelerations. The repeat variable decelerations will be something like this. They're coming at repeated intervals. These are repeat variable decelerations. And something like this, which I just showed you, this line, variable deceleration, is not repeated variable decelerations. They are the decelerations on which you can sit. But you sat for 30 minutes. Okay? You sat for 30 minutes, even this, despite the fact that they were showing concerning characteristics, as you can see over here as well. The B2B variability is almost gone in this case. And you're still sitting over it because they're not happening repeatedly. You getting me? It's coming once in maybe, 3 minutes. The other one came a little early. Then the next one's coming after 10 minutes. So you were sitting patiently, seeing and observing that, oh, they're not repeated. Because of which you are not so much bothered. But if it crosses 30 minutes mark, that is when you alert the superiors. Now comes a repeat variable deceleration. So repeated variable decelerations, they are happening, and they're happening with concerning characteristics. You will not wait for more than 30 minutes. So you will just wait till 30 minute mark. That means any repeated variable deceleration along with concerning characteristics, less than 30 minutes is amber, but above 30 minutes automatically becomes red, and a step has to be taken. Right? In the same way, repeated late decelerations, repeat late decelerations. So that till the time late decelerations were coming, though it's not there. when you're talking about NICE guidelines. See, these people are very smart. Can you see? They spoke about, they talk about early decelerations, they talk about late decelerations, they talk about variable decelerations, they even talk about repeated variable decelerations. But are you seeing that there are gray areas and there are lacunae deliberately left? When you make recommendations, you make recommendations which become black and white. This is right, this is not to be done. But with everything in clinical scenario, it's not possible to make such rules, because every time it's, the clinical scenario is not black and white. So even in this case, though they should have talked about repeated late decelerations without concerning characteristics in white category, but they've not spoken about it. They have straight away put something in the amber category without speaking about it in the white category or the red category. Well, they have spoken a little bit about the red category. Initially, they never spoke about what do you call repeated late decelerations without concerning characteristics. Whether they'll be clubbed as white, they'll be still considered as amber. Less than 30 minutes or less than 10 minutes will be considered amber. Nothing has been spoken. They have just spoken that repeated late decelerations along with concerning characteristics, if they are present for less than 30 minutes, they are amber, and anything above that becomes red. Right? Now, wait, let me just check this once more. Repeated late decelerations. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. This thing has to be corrected. They have spoken about repetitive late decelerations, but they've not spoken about late decelerations per se. Okay, they've spoken about repetitive late decelerations, and there is no mention of concerning characteristic. Okay, so just remember this over here as repetitive late decelerations less than 30 minutes, and I have not mentioned any concerning characteristic over here. In the same way, the concerning characteristics are not a part of repetitive late decelerations, but just the fact that they are repetitive late decelerations and they are less than 30 minutes belongs to the amber category, and more than 30 minutes belongs to the red category, has to be kept in your mind. Then there is one more important aspect. What about those CTGs in which you see one acute episode of bradycardia and that lasts for some time? I'll get panicky in 1 minute, but NICE guideline says don't get panicky before 3 minutes. So you tolerate it till 3 minutes time. In fact, there's a slide which tells you even 9, 10, 12 minutes later on. Where is that slide gone? Here. See, 3 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 12 minutes. I am going to have a heart attack. Any one of us is going to have a heart attack. But these people, I don't know how they manage these things. So, and yeah, I have a slide to show you this acute bradycardia episode. I'm sure many of you have already been through this, traumatic experience, something like this. It was fine up till now. It was even having an acceleration. Suddenly it goes a dip. And it's not coming back. Okay. And this particular part is 1 minute. Okay. This is 1 minute. It will start going dip. Okay. Again for 1 minute and it's still staying on. So you wait for 3 minutes before clubbing it as red, ominous, pathological, whatever, and start taking a step forward. And then I'll tell you the steps. You'll be, very amused to see the steps also. So anyways, so this slide tells you the 30-minute rule to understand the deceleration. I'll quickly revise it for you once again. So white, just imagine what will be the, white category for deceleration. So if there are no decelerations, happy, you call it white. If there are decelerations, but they're early decelerations, but there are no concerning characteristics, no matter what, they're not mentioned any time frame. So they're early decelerations without any concerning characteristics, white. There are variable decelerations, and I'm not saying repetitive variable decelerations. There are variable decelerations, but without any concerning characteristics, label it as white. Then you go to amber category. What will you keep in amber category? Either the variable decelerations have started having concerning characteristics, and that's now coming more than 30 minutes. Okay, you waited for 30 minutes and they're still coming, and now they're having concerning characteristics. Earlier they were not having. And or that there are repetitive variable deceleration along with concerning characteristics even for 30 minutes. You'll club it as amber. If it's going more than 30 minutes, you'll call it as red. Repetitive late decelerations, no concerning characteristics have been mentioned. Repetitive late decelerations, they're coming for at least 30 minutes, you call it amber. They increase more than that or continue going for more than 30 minutes, you call it as red. Any acute bradycardia episode, but that has to last for 3 minutes and more, will be clubbed as red. Anything less than that, again, ambiguous, they've not mentioned.